Squid Game Season 2 is here, woohoo! But as we were all excited about seeing some more game-based carnage and arguing over whether it's insane to watch a show dubbed or not, one character was mysteriously left out of all promotions, despite being one of the most memorable cast members. Choi Seung-hyun, also known as T.O.P, plays Thanos in the new series. His character is a former rapper, a flirt, and low-key a weirdo. On November 27th last year, Netflix revealed the main poster for Squid Game Season 2, featuring the full cast, but with T.O.P's character Thanos notably left out. He didn't appear at any promotional events, and his name didn't even appear on the official cast list, despite being announced for the show the previous year. So while Western fans celebrated the almost too accurate casting of Choi Seung-hyun, South Korean fans were outraged. The show's director was forced to comment on his casting decisions, and the rest of the world simply wondered, who is this guy? What's going on? So what did happen? Why was this such a controversial decision? Why is he so hated by the South Korean public? Why was he removed from all the promotional material but not removed from the show? Spoiler alert, this story has everything. Drugs, K-pop, Hong Kong, Sotheby's, Elon Musk, and going to the moon. Let's get into the messy history of T.O.P. Choi Seung-hyun started going by the stage name T.O.P when he was a member of K-pop band Big Bang. If you don't know about Big Bang, it's literally impossible to overstate how important they are to the K-pop industry. Like before BTS, there wasn't a group in the entire world who could rival Big Bang's success. Debuting all the way back in 2006, the group went on to sell over 5 million physical albums in Korea and Japan alone. They're some of the biggest hits of the decade, and their music videos as recently as 2 years ago still pull in over 100 million views. Big Bang were huge. Huge. T.O.P served as the group's rapper. He became famous for his low voice, tall stature, rapping skills, good looks, and wearing insane outfits. As you can see here, for a performance in 2012, he's wearing 2 different eye contacts and a pink bubblegum latex military outfit, and he still looks good. That's insane. That's skill. That's a talent. In 2010, T.O.P and the group's leader G-Dragon, they started a successful duo act alongside Big Bang. They released multiple top singles and they found massive success in Japan. Their 2012 single Knockout with Diplo was listed as one of the best K-pop videos of all time by Stereogum. In 2013, T.O.P released what many consider his magnum opus, his masterpiece, his single Doom Dada. It was heavily inspired by his love of fine art and showcased how good he was at rapping and songwriting despite being a K-pop star. Doom Dada is widely credited for bringing high art into K-pop, which is considered by many to be lowbrow. The song was huge, the video was huge, and it broke the mold for many K-pop rappers to attempt their own unique music, and is also just like an undeniably good song. Over the years, he appeared in various acting roles in K-dramas, and he maintained a high profile both in South Korea and around the world. He also became a really well-known art collector in the art world. He was also a guest curator for important museums in Singapore, Hong Kong, and Korea. He famously owns over 100 chairs, and in 2016, he worked with Sotheby's on a curation in Hong Kong called #TTTOP. The exhibition aimed to combine Western and Asian art while encouraging young people to try out for themselves. That auction saw a sale of more than 135 million Hong Kong dollars. So it was a massive success. Am I painting the picture here? You know, talented, famous, tall, hot, rich. T.O.P was on top of the world, man. But in 2017, everything changed. T.O.P pleaded guilty to drug use after he admitted he used marijuana 4 times in October of 2016 with a trainee singer from his label Han So-hee. He was 29 at the time, and he was served with a suspended 10-month jail sentence and 2 years probation. After his sentence, he showed remorse and apologized to his fans, saying, "I'm truly sorry that I disappointed my fans and the public. I'll do my best to make a fresh start and not to make such a mistake again with what I've learned from this lesson." To make matters worse, at the time of his offense, he was serving his mandatory military enlistment, and his charges meant he'd have to re-enlist after sentencing. Now, from a Western perspective, a hot famous rapper smoking weed with a girl isn't exactly a huge scandal or fall from grace, but in South Korea, drug use is considered a massive expensive deal, especially for an idol. Also, military service is taken very, very seriously. It's common for men who either avoid or don't complete their military service for whatever reason to be treated negatively in society and often looked down upon. So in that sense, it was a double whammy for T.O.P, and the public reaction was intensely negative. It's actually hard to describe how bad it actually was, like thousands upon thousands of negative comments and threats. He went from beloved member of Big Bang and one of South Korea's most beloved artistic exports to public enemy #1 overnight. Not long after the sentencing and the immense public backlash, T.O.P was hospitalized and treated in the ICU after an apparent drug overdose. According to reports at the time, T.O.P arrived at the hospital with 3 people carrying him in, and that when they tried to wake him normally, he was completely unresponsive. He spent about a week in hospital, and while he was there, his mother visited him and was photographed crying and begging people to be kind to her son. She also shared he wasn't in a good condition. You'd expect that this would create some sort of sympathy for the situation. I mean, it was determined very quickly that it was likely a suicide attempt, and the entire thing was playing out super publicly. There were hundreds of photographers and journalists camped outside the hospital waiting for a glimpse of either T.O.P or his family. But alas, no, the public's reaction was once again intensely negative. Comments that have been translated and archived from the time paint a frightening picture of just how bad things got. Don't give him sympathy. He did drugs. Never give him sympathy. These are fake tears. What's wrong with his mother? Does she not get that her son did drugs? She should be reprimanding her son for doing drugs, not acting like this. Mother, please stop lashing out at the police and worry about educating your son properly. This is such a joke. If only he apologized with the same bravery he had to attempt suicide. Like, holy shit. Man, how dare a mother cry after seeing her son fight for his life in hospital? I mean, my goodness. After that, T.O.P, unsurprisingly, essentially disappeared from public life altogether. Big Bang were on hiatus off and on in this time, and honestly, we could do a whole other video on just Big Bang related scandals. Like, obviously, Seungri and Burning Sun ended up being a much bigger deal than T.O.P's marijuana use, but that is a story for another day. Let us know in the comments if you want me to do it. I will totally do it. But anyway, T.O.P did remain largely unseen for years. It wasn't until 2022, which was 5 years after he disappeared, that the public got any real update on him. In February of that year, YG Entertainment announced that Big Bang would make their comeback, but they also announced at the same time that T.O.P had ended his exclusive contract with the company, although he would still appear in Big Bang group promotional activities. The last Big Bang song he ever featured in was their goodbye track, Still Life, and he's since left the group permanently. You've been waiting for the bit where Elon Musk gets involved, haven't you? You've been on the edge of your seat, waiting to find out about this whole going to the moon thing, or luckily for you, we're at that part of the story. In 2022, it was announced that T.O.P had been selected among a group of artists to fly to space as part of the Dear Moon project. The project was described as a lunar tourism mission, and it got started in 2018 as a collaboration with SpaceX. You know, Elon Musk's space thing. Japanese billionaire Yusuke Maezawa planned, funded, and selected participants for the trip. I just had to mention this moon thing. Honestly, other people set to be part of the project was Steve Aoki, photographer Rhiannon Adam, and everyday astronaut YouTuber Tim Dodd. The whole thing was kind of random, and fans who hadn't heard from T.O.P in years would just say, oh, okay, so you go to the moon now, I guess? Cool, okay. But as you know, as many things with Elon Musk go, the whole thing was postponed a bunch of times and eventually totally cancelled this year. It's just not happening anymore. So T.O.P has not gone to the moon. Thanks, Elon, for that. But honestly, I just had to mention the moon thing. I don't know why I'm so obsessed with it. I just think it's so weird and funny. But anyway, 2022 was a big year for T.O.P. He rejoined public life promoting with Big Bang again, and he shared in an interview with Prestige that he felt reborn and was ready to come back. But in that same interview, he did delve into some of those darker subjects that follow him around. He said, "This is the first time I've spoken publicly, but I did try to commit suicide about 5 years ago. I realized later how much hurt and painful memories I gave to the people around me, my family, and fans out there." Which brings us to now. T.O.P was announced as a cast member of Squid Game Season 2 back in June 2023, and this news received a cold response from the Korean public. Controversy around his casting continued to rise, so the show's director Hwang Dong-kyuk addressed the controversy at a press conference in August. He said, "I honestly didn't expect it would become a controversy. I don't know if my judgment was correct, but the incident happened a long time ago. He was sentenced and his probation period has ended. There have been others in the past who caused social controversy but have managed to make a comeback. I thought, with time, it would be considered more of a personal matter, but seeing the extent of the concern expressed, I realized I may have underestimated the reaction." He further added though, however, he proved himself, and we confirmed his strong personal commitment. Rumors started spreading that T.O.P had landed the role based on personal connections rather than talent, but director Hwan strongly denied these claims too, saying, "I've always been particular about casting actors who are genuinely suited for their roles, and I don't cast based on friendship. Even during my early career, I regretted the one time I tried that approach. As a principle I adhere to, especially with a project like Squid Game, where I've only cast actors I believe are right for the roles." Well, yeah, I mean, his character is a former rapper with drug problems. Like, he's obviously very perfect for this role. Great selection. Great selection. Sadly though, the director's words weren't enough to quell those who were offended by the casting, and T.O.P eventually decided not to appear at the show's production presentation on December 9th. The director and the rest of the cast were all in attendance. And on November 27th, Netflix revealed the main poster for Squid Game Season 2, featuring the full cast, but with T.O.P's character Thanos notably left out. His name also doesn't appear on the official cast list. Reactions since the release of the series have been mixed, and there's a really obvious divide between Korean and Western fans of the show and what they're saying about the casting. An article published in Korean on December 30th is titled, "Druggy Rapper T.O.P. His bad acting has made Squid Game 2 unbearable to watch." As a Westerner, I find it pretty baffling that smoking weed 4 times in 2016 is enough to be labelled as a criminal and hated for the rest of your life. When I noticed that he was absent from the Squid Game's promotional material, I honestly wondered if there was something else he had done wrong, like something terrible, something unmentionable, but that does not seem to be the case here. It's interesting that as Korean media continues to become more and more popular and influential worldwide, as viewers, we also have to try and see things from different cultural perspectives that we may not have encountered before. Squid Game and Parasite are both 2 of the best and most popular video media projects in the last decade, and I think that's because they're both heavily critical of capitalism, which is something that we can kind of all relate to and understand. But there are always going to be nuanced aspects of media from other cultures that we're going to struggle to grapple with. I think T.O.P is a really good example. He's so widely hated for something that most people wouldn't even blink an eye at in the US or the UK or Canada. This show really should have been a massive opportunity for T.O.P to find an audience in the worldwide market and be able to come back as a performer and a musician. But it's obvious that the Korean public, by and large, don't share that sentiment. I mean, honestly, like, we have full-on psychos in our Western movies and we just kind of live with it. So are we in the wrong? Do we in the West let go of bad behavior too easily? Or is the Korean public's response overboard and kind of scary? As we've seen though, the controversy surrounding T.O.P casting in Squid Game Season 2 underscores the complex, often conflicting cultural expectations between East and West. What may seem like a minor misstep in the West, like a public mistake that someone could recover from, remains a scandal that has irrevocably shaped T.O.P's public persona in South Korea. The absence of his character in promotional materials and the ongoing backlash are stark reminders of how deeply ingrained cultural values influence how we perceive redemption and fame. So is the West too forgiving? Is Korean response too harsh? Maybe there is no definitive answer. I suppose it's a personal choice whether you feel like he's a full-on criminal or not. But as the global audience continues to expand, it's clear that we gotta navigate the blurry lines between personal mistakes, artistic integrity, and public forgiveness. What's undeniable, however, is that he is super good looking. Not to be weird about it, but like, geez, oh my god. Maybe all of this mystery and attention and controversy might actually help him.